We for the People, episode 6. We going. We got Chris Ball here. Man, blessed to have him in our presence. We'll start off with a little commentary on this week. What's going on? What's happening next week? Look, has to do with Anna's Bar, the Street Fest, everything we were doing down there on Pine. But it ties into the larger picture, which is free speech, right? We're out here trying to do our thing. The whole platform of this show is trying to showcase the unsung heroes in the game, right? And I always say free speech ain't free. And the system is corrupt, and the people that run the system, they want to keep the power where the power is. They want to keep the money where the money is. They want to keep the special interest happy. And look, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole too much because we're blessed to have Chris here, but we got to go to trial next week. We'll see what happens. By the time we drop this, maybe it'll be over. It's Tuesday through Thursday. All some trumped up bullshit. These motherfuckers chasing us 3 days before we even open Anna's. Now, keep in mind, it's a bar and restaurant down there. This is a bar and restaurant that loses money that we donated to the community. And these dumb motherfuckers, their best thinking is to try to hit on us 3 days before we open. We got the emails, right? Don't release the body cam footage. Finally, after 15 subpoenas and like multiple requests, the guy starts giving up the body cam footage, the custodian of records and a few emails. Guess what? Dude went on leave. He's gone now, right? Apparently, he gave us a little bit too much. We also know they had 3 vice cops there on day one. What's the probable cause? Why are you coming in there, right? Now, if you look at the timing's pretty basic. We started calling out police overtime and fire overtime, and here they come trying to keep their money right. So we out here battling, and the good thing about this Anna situation, these motherfuckers don't get. In fact, after this clip, I'm probably going to go down there and talk some shit. Get ready, put your phone on. But, I don't give a fuck. So I get to put all these police officers under oath. We got them lying in police reports. We got them, lying about the body cam. We got an ABC agent lying, fucking city officials lying, et cetera, et cetera. So like they think they're jamming us up, but at the end of the day, they're giving us a free shot at them. If Anna has to close that bar for a little bit of time, like what? I'm gonna lose a little bit less money. The fucking community is the one that's punished. Yeah, on principle, we want to keep it open. But I love to get a motherfucker under oath. That's what we're going to do. And just remember, free speech ain't free. And as far as like corrupt police go, y'all can suck my dick. Now, let's get into the podcast to see what it is. Did I say it like that? No, that's how I feel right now. I'm just putting it out there. So anyway, Matt, by the way, this is my own opinions. I don't want to get, them snooping around Chris's spot here anytime soon. So look, I've known Chris from around a little bit. We got the same alma mater, which is pretty cool. He was there actually the same time I was there. Played a little ball, which is pretty cool. No pun intended. So, tell me about your interest in the cannabis space. I know you're like a real OG. I always say compared to the real OGs, I'm just a poser out here, trying to do my thing. There was guys, that came in the game way before me in a serious way. But tell me a little bit about your side hustle while you're up there at Berkeley and, how that was going.
Well, before I get into that, I just want to say, with Elliot, we stand. I fuck with you a lot on IG, and when I see or listen to, some of your posts and I get to see that stuff, I always put, in the comments with Elliot, we stand, and I give you that fist, my brother. And I love you to death, man, for what you're doing and what you stand for. So I just want to say thank you for having me and give you your love and give you your flowers, while you still here, while I can. So I appreciate you, dog. We all do.
We blush, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So now, getting into how I got into cannabis or why I'm here, cannabis helped put me through school. It was a way for me to make a little bit of extra money. I kind of started out when I was about 16. I got my first zip at 16 from my cousin Earl, who was a neighborhood weed man. And he showed me how to break it down or whatever and do my little thing with it. Obviously, at that time, I really wasn't too good. So I probably sold about half of it and gave the other half away. You know what I'm saying? My entrepreneurial ship hadn't really set in yet. But once I graduated from high school, my parents, had that tough conversation with me and told me, you gotta, I had 2 younger brothers. So my pops is like, you either got to get a job or you got to go to school, but you got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because I got 2 other ones that need that room and they need our attention. So for me, I wasn't really ready to go into the workforce just yet. You know what I'm saying? So I decided to move out, move in with one of my homeboys in Walnut, California. And then I enrolled in Mount Sac Junior College, you know what I'm saying? And so once I got to Mount Sac, I hit my cousin Earl up again. And I knew, you know, this time I was like, yo, run me another zip. But I knew if I didn't make it work this time, I was going to have to go get a job. You know what I'm saying? Because my parents couldn't afford to pay for me to stay in school. So he ran me the zip back, but he told me, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, cuz you know, you don't come back with this one. Don't come back. You know, if you don't bring all my money, don't ask me again. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get this second one on the love because you family. So I got that zip, man, and I just made it work. You know, I sold weed out of my backpack at Mount Sac for 2 years, you know, and that's how I paid for my books. That's how I paid my tuition. That's how I paid, you know, to put gas in my little Volkswagen Bug that I had at the time. That's how I put, you know, shoes on my feet until I got my scholarship to go to Berkeley. Go Bears, our alma mater. You know what I'm saying? So once I got to Cal, you know what I'm saying, I put the shit down. I was like, you know, I'm here. I'm at a prestigious university. I'm the first kid in my family to actually go to college. So once I got there, I had big aspirations and dreams of graduating from college and making it to the NFL, you know. So I played 2 years at Cal, came out and went free agent, you know, to the 49ers. I got into some trouble my senior year, wound up getting benched after like the third game for mouthing off to the press and some crazy shit. It was stupid. But I graduated from Cal and then I went in free agent over in Frisco. Got released. They sent me over to NFL Europe that next year. So I played in a developmental league in NFL Europe in Berlin, Germany. I came home and I was waiting for a roster spot, you know what I'm saying, to go back to the NFL. During that time, I got a call from Canada, from the British Columbia Lions, BC. And if any of y'all know anything about weed in BC, you know where I was at, but we'll get into that a little bit later, I'm sure. So I signed that 2-year deal over there in BC. And, you know, that's really where it really kind of started to happen for me because I was right there, you know, with all of that product, you know, and it's also the first place I ever saw weed grown from seed to harvest. You know, back the way I had it, I was just a middleman, you know what I'm saying, at Mount Sac. I would get it from my cousin, you know what I'm saying? He would shoot it to me. I would do my little thing and I go to him for the re-up. I never really saw nothing after that. But once I got to Canada, you know, that was the first time I ever had really went to a grow and saw seeds pop, saw clones, saw, you know, veg, saw fucking harvest. And I just fell in love with that shit. You know what I mean? So during the off season, we would traffic, you know what I'm saying? We would supplement our income with the prices we was getting over there. We was buying BC for like 800, you know what I'm saying? And then I was getting it down.
Back then, that's crazy prices, yeah.
It was there though. It was
you had to get it there.
I had to get it there.
Yeah.
And mind you, it was 34, 35 here in LA. You know what I'm saying? So you can, you know, do the math. The margins were just fucking crazy. So I built up a really big name for myself, dog, in LA. Just, you know, I became known as this football player who had the packs for the low, you know, and I was grabbing them for so cheap and getting them down here that I was able to undercut the market, you know, like crazy. I did that for the next like 2 or 3 years, man, until I attracted the attention of the federal government and caught my indictment in 2010, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's crazy you were getting them for 800, but I understand you had to get them in. But you know, when I was going there, we knew this one Asian cat that wasn't at school, but he was like, he had got 5 packs, which at that time was like, that was a lot. And I could usually get like a pound fronted around 36, 37. Then I'd hit the QPs for like 1100, right? Oh, yeah. So like that was a different time. But like 800, you're getting it to LA.
Yeah,
you're making fucking money on that. Yeah, nice.
I was making more money doing that than playing football. Real talk.
So without giving away too many secrets and whatever, draw the line where you want to draw it. It's got to get from Canada to the USA.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, some of the guys I knew, they walked it, right?
Yeah. No, we drove. We drove. We thought about walking it, you know what I'm saying? We thought about that, but we came up with a real cool system, you know what I'm saying, to drive. So, you know, we would hop, you know, right there at Bellingham, you know, at the border. That's the border coming out of Vancouver. And then once we got on the other side of Bellingham, once we crossed that border, we was home free. Now, you know, I always, you know, I've said this story a lot, and I'll say it again, you know, for the viewers, for your viewers. I would get into very intricate detail of that, but I don't know BC still got a team.
They still rocking.
You know, they're still rocking. And I'm sure some cats over there that's probably doing what I was doing back then. So I kind of want to leave that alone just as loyalty to the street. You know what I'm saying? Because
they're probably getting that canopy weed or some canopy corn
weed. Man.
Allegedly.
You know, and with these fucking numbers, who knows, bro? Right. You know, they probably not no more. They probably like, it ain't even fucking worth it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but it was a fun and scary time all at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's cool. So then, like, as far as the the arrest or whatever, and how that went down, you know, how did you get on their radar? And then what was kind of like that whole thing?
So what happened was I had touched somebody. Well, I guess I could talk about it now. He out of prison and everything. But my boy Paul, I had touched this cat named Paul out of San Diego. And Paul was like a general, you know what I'm saying, for Chapo's organization. And I didn't notice at the time. I had got linked up with him by another friend of mine just because he knew we were both in the weed space. So Paul was like investing in his businesses down in San Diego. Me and him went back like 10, 15 years, and he just knew that I was, doing weed up in LA. So I go down to San Diego for a party, and he introduces me to Paul. He's like, y'all should talk, y'all in the same industry. I didn't really think nothing of it. Paul was running a lot of AZ though. You know what I'm saying? Like Paul was getting bricks of AZ and 22-pound bales and running that shit all across the United States. So once he kind of put me on to that game, you know what I'm saying? Like I was moving the BC, the juicy fruit and shit, you know what I'm saying? I was moving the exotics, if that was a thing back then.
Right.
And he was moving the cheaper shit. But, because all of my teammates in Canada, I had teammates everywhere in the United States because we would come there and play ball. Yeah. And then when we go home, they'd be like, I would shoot to them. And then, so I had clients. So once me and Paul started kind of unpacking our businesses together, we like, yo, there's a lot of money to be made here. I can grab, I hit my boys. They're like, yeah, we need AZ too. Paul's people needed the BC. You know what I'm saying? So we just kind of started fucking with each other like that. Turns out Paul was already under investigation. He had been under investigation for 2 years when I met him, and I didn't know that shit at the time. So that's really how the indictment came down. I think we had been rocking for about 6 months, and then all of a sudden I get a call from the guy who introduced us at the party and was like, yo, the feds is looking for you, and I'm like, what
That's
you
not
mean?
the call you want.
Yeah, I'm like, what you mean? I'm like, what you mean the feds is looking for me? And he's like, yeah, they came and, wrapped up me and Paul, and, it was about, I think it was 14 in total. So I knew some of the other names that he said. And I was like, damn, I'm like, well, how you get out? And he was like, well, they kind of knew I didn't have nothing to do with it, but they want to talk to you. And at that time, I never had been in trouble before, so my heart dropping to my feet. My boys telling me this information. Now looking back in hindsight, and because I did get arrested and then I did read my discovery and I did see who was there and who wasn't. Now I know, he got let go so he could try to,
that's how it goes.
Rope up, whoever else that they was looking for that they couldn't get in touch with. So, but all good, that's all water under the bridge. That's my boy. He was scared. He didn't know what.
Oh, you forgave it all.
Yeah, I forgave him, man.
You're a real one.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know what he was doing, man. He not built for that kind of shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He not built for jail. He not built for the street. They came and roped him. He caught like a money laundering case or some shit because he was taking the money and doing real business with it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Wow, that's deep. So, how do you get kicked off in LA? Like how was Ball Family Farms born?
Man, it's crazy, Elliot, because when I got the license, I got the license in 2018. And I didn't even know there was a social equity license at the time. You know what I'm saying? Before I applied, I was selling the Prop D compliant shops to pre-ICOs. I had come back from Vegas and I had got me a little grow in Van Nuys. It was like a 14 lighter. You know what I'm saying? Like it was in 5,000 square feet. The dude who had it owed me some money, you know what I'm saying, before I got locked up. Came home or whatever, got back down to LA and he was like, I'll just give you the grow. I don't got the money to pay you, but I'll just give you the grow. I didn't even know how to grow at that time. I had my little knowledge and shit of what I learned over in Canada, but I had never put my hands on it completely. So I said, fuck it. I took the grow, you know what I'm saying? And then I just kind of started off on my journey. Well, in 2018, the landlord of the building that I was growing in became my partner. You know, maybe a year or two prior, he had become my partner in the grow. And he was really connected with the city and shit like that. So one day he just came and told me, he was like, hey, you know, I think LA is having a license for people like you. I'm like, people like me, what's that mean? Like black people? He like, no, man, like you got a felony, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think you can apply. There's this license where guys like you with arrest records and shit can apply. So I was like, no fucking way. That can't be true. But he's like, man, I'm serious. I think you should go check it out. So I went down to City Hall, and that's when I met Donnie, I met Virgil Grant, and I met Tyrone of the CMA. I met them down there. So, you know, I'm one of the only black faces down there. So I run into these cats, and then they start asking me questions. I start talking to them. I see them in the City Hall meeting doing all the talking, you know what I'm saying, advocating for cannabis and shit like that. So after it was over, I approached them and we kind of started shooting the shit, and they agreed to like help me out. So sure enough, man, I filled out, you know, the paperwork, you know, got all that stuff done, and I just submitted it, you know what I'm saying? And lo and behold, bro, like I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 months later, you know what I'm saying, I got an email congratulating me on getting the license or whatever. So I'm like, damn, this shit is crazy. So at that point, I had called my little brother. Like once I knew that I was kind of like in and I had an opportunity, I called my brother. My brother's the straight A student of the family, comes from corporate America. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the love child. I'm the black sheep. I'm the kid that get in all the fucking trouble. So I called him up and I was like, yo, bro, I think I got a license, you know, to do this cannabis shit for real. Like legally, will you help me? And he was like, no. The first thing he said was like, I'm not fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? My brother, there's a backstory to why he did that, because I did a trip in Arizona and my brother was with me, and that was the first time the feds had like made themselves known. So it was a big, scary fucking ordeal. So he was like, nah, bro, I'm not fucking with you. I don't believe you nothing. I'm like, nah, for real, bro. Like, it's not like before. Like, I swear, like I got a license, like we could do this shit legally. He wasn't having it. So what I did was I called my mom, and I had my mom, you know, persuade him. I'm like, Mom, like I need his help, you know, because he knows numbers, he knows human resources, he knows HR, you know, all that shit. So my mom talked to him and he finally agreed to come aboard. And once he came aboard, that's when things really kind of started to move, because I didn't know how to do any of the back end shit. You know what I'm saying? With the paperwork, the licenses, all that shit. I knew how to grow the weed and to sell the weed. You know what I'm saying? And I had a lot of street cred just because of my past, because of how long I've been in LA moving and trapping around, because of my arrest record, because everybody knew my story. You know what I'm saying? So I knew I had that part covered. So once he came aboard, everything kind of started coming together. Then we found Ebony. You know, Ebony was our, you know, urban planner by trade, really good with all of that shit. Now she's doing license for city. So us three kind of made it happen, and Ball Family Farms just was born like that.
Cool, right on, man. That's a good story. So you work with a lot of people in your family. You know, I always say that, like, if you don't get the culture right and you don't have people that are there, especially in this game right now, there's more than a job to them. It's a livelihood, and they believe in the mission and what you're doing. You know, I got my brother working with me, not as many family members, you know, so he's my little brother though, so I could kind of like, I could kind of exert my will on him. But
I know what you mean.
How was it having you know, rocking there with the whole family and everything?
You know, it's cool. It's cool. I'm not gonna lie. There has been some family members that have come that we've tried to give opportunities to, but they just didn't possess the skill. You know what I'm saying, or the ambition or the work ethic. You know what I'm saying, to make it. So it's been 5 years now. So we've had to let a couple go. You know, they got their chance. They got their run at it, you know. So that's the main thing, is when you go to the Thanksgiving or the Christmas or the family events, and then you don't want your family members looking at you like, you know, you ain't do shit for the family. You ain't even try. At least when I go, we like, yo, we tried. You just fucked it up. You know what I'm saying? And you got yourself out.
No good deed goes unpunished.
You feel me?
My mom knows now, like, no more, you know, because she'll give me some leads, like my, you know, people. And I'm always, what I've come to realize is, if you're calling me, and I had nobody gonna watch this probably, but if you're calling me as your last resort to get a job,
it's a problem.
Yeah, you got a fucking problem,
Yeah, it's a
right?
problem.
Like, go apply, figure it out on your own, even if you want word. And then I'll put in a word, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I said there's like a joke around the office, especially with our HR, Aisha. She's like, nah, no more.
No more
And I already learned. And not just family, like, it's like my mom's friend's friend. And then it's like,
I did it all, bro.
yeah. And
I did it all.
And
I did it all.
They just, like, they think we're playing. Like, oh, could I be part-time? I'm really the musician. I'm really this, whatever. And it, you know, there's been a few good ones, but for the most part, like, if you're all the way down the ladder, that's like, oh, I'm gonna ask this guy's mom, which is usually somebody's grandma by this point, right? And it's like, oh fuck, really?
Yeah.
So I took a few chances and got. My brother's been really good. He's you know, he handles his shit, and you know, we've been working in all sorts of different shit for a while. But there's been a lot of people, and then at the end, somehow like. I ended up the asshole, right? In the whole situation.
You always wind up the asshole, right?
And it's
you're
like,
the boss.
And I'm fucking working 80 hours. Like, I'm putting it all in.
More than everybody.
Yeah. So,
yeah. We got something else in common because my little brother, you know, he's my CFO, but, you know, he's done his thing. He's been with me since day one. He's kept the numbers correct. We pay our taxes every year. We always on point. His numbers be better than our CPA's number. Our CPA fuck up more than my brother do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then my cousin Mikey, he's just a dog. He's just a workhorse. You know, he's been there with us since day one. He runs the facility. The boy knows every single inch of that facility, of that 20,000 square feet. He can fix anything. He takes all the deliveries. He's on point. The boy will go and deliver weed to a shop if we ask him to, you know. But besides them two, you know, they've been the most consistent and been the ones that have really earned their check, you know, and earned their equity in the company. Everybody else, family, friends, they've come and gone. I've hired them and fired them, hired them and fired them. They just...
No, I used to be really slow to fire. Now as I've gotten a little older and just like, I've learned, or at least maybe I've explained it to myself this way, it's selfish for me not to want to fire somebody at this point, right? Because I feel a certain kind of way. At the end of the day, my duty is the catalyst. This goes for me or anybody, right? And it's like, if you're fucking up just because I have like some sort of affinity for you, and I don't fire you, I'm really being selfish over the way I feel. Maybe that's just the way I put it in my head.
Yeah, no,
so when I do it, that's true.
That's real though.
Like, ain't nobody bigger than the company, than the mission, right?
Yeah.
And you know, we were interviewing people that are succeeding and stuff, and staying alive in like almost fucking impossible conditions. And I think without an exception, if people haven't bought into what you're doing, it's not going to work. Some of these big MSOs now that are facing these debt bubbles because they borrowed a bunch of money, they just have a bunch of mercenaries, and when their leadership is 9 to 5 and they're only going to be 9 to 5 and they're just working for a paycheck and they ain't all in, it's a whole different ball game. Let me ask you a personal one that's fun. I got my wife in the audience. She's my roll dog. You got your new queen. I mean, she's been your queen for a while, but fairly recently married.
Yeah, January 6th, man. January 6th, we made it official. So Miss Ball is definitely in the house.
Nice. You did it on the day of the riots. The anniversary of the riots. I don't know why that popped in my head.
There's so many fucking meanings to that day. It's like the King's Day in the Bible. It's the anniversary of the riots. It's like all kind of shit. Like, what a holy day.
Yeah, but congratulations. And just, you know, kind of from watching your social media and how you move, you know, I could tell you, you guys are close, and she's an intricate part of the business, and, you know, where you're going, it seems like she's going, you know, not everywhere, but like, you know, she's a big part of it. You know, give me a little color on that, and you know, what that's kind of like, because I have my own experience as well, you know, rolling around. See, my little trick, right, is like, hey, we're gonna open a store in Watsonville, but we're gonna hang out at a hotel and marina. Right. I sell it as a 2-for-1, right? So but it's a good way to spend time together and you know, keep moving the mission along. So, you know, just
man, with me and my wife, you know, my wife is very supportive, you know, obviously I had Ball Family Farms when we met. You know, I think the fact that she actually smokes Ball Family Farms and got me to smoke weed, there's some people may not know. You know, I never smoked before, or the past 4 years, you know, 3.5 years almost. I never smoked my own product. I would try it here and there, but smoking was really never my thing. And when I met my wife, you know, she smoked every once in a while. She, you know, smoked a little weed or whatever. So I gave her some, you know, one day, and she just really loved it. She was like, wow, like, your weed is different. Like, this weed is different. And I'm like, yeah, everybody say my weed is different. That's why I'm Ball Family. That's why I'm Chris Ball and shit. But she's like, so you don't smoke? I'm like, nah, that's you. I drink. And she's like, well, man, that's not really fun. You know, like, why don't you smoke with me sometime? You know, so the first joint we smoked was a Daniel LaRusso joint. I had like these little dog walkers that I would give away. You know, they were like promo items. And she loved them because it wasn't a full gram. It was like a half gram. She'd take her 4 or 5 hits and be done. So we smoked one time. And bro, I just couldn't stop laughing. Like, and my wife is funny as fuck. Like when she gets high, she's like a real comedian, right? Like there's been multiple occasions where I ask her like, just stop talking, like stop telling jokes, because the back of my head is like sore and starts to hurt, right? So, but she's very supportive, man. I think the fact that, you know, once she experienced the flower, you know, that was one thing. And then just us getting so close over the past 2 years and her seeing my work ethic, her, you know, getting really close with my brother and my cousin, her being so close to the business and seeing what I go through, the trials and tribulations, her starting to learn the cannabis industry as a whole and where the holes are, where, you know, all the struggles we go through. She's really, you know, put herself in the situation where she's like, I want to help. Is there anything I can do to help? Now, my wife had her own career. You know, she's been on TV for the past 4 years. She's on a show on VH1. She's a model. You know, she's been modeling probably her whole life. She makes her living modeling. You know, she's not one of them models that models here and there. Like, no, she gets a paycheck, you know, every motherfucking month for modeling. She got to shoot. It's not a joke. But I think with the brand, you know, at first, when we first got together and she moved over here, she would just accompany me to a lot of the events. You know, we'd do pop-ups, we'd have sessions at the office. She'd come to the grow. She's come to the grow and helped me clean up just to see what's going on. Like, she's gotten her hands dirty. And so I think after a certain amount of time, she was just like, you know, what can I do to help you? And then the merch thing popped up. You know, once I start really getting into the merch, and she's like, let me ask you something. You don't got no women's merch? And I'm like, nah, well, I do sweats and hats and shit. Like, what am I
merch is fire.
Yeah, she rocks that shit. So she's like, you know what, honey, why don't we create a woman's line, and why don't you let me, you know, create that? Like, I know what women like to wear. I know the material we want it to be. Like, why don't we open that up? She's like, there's women that smoke. Like, I smoke. We see it. We meet all these different cool chicks at your events that smoke. I'm sure they would like to wear something that's, you know, highlights their body and not this big ass hoodie you be trying to give everybody in these sweats. So I was like, all right, run it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, let's do it. And fuck, bro, she put her mind to that shit. And now we got women's tights with scrunch butt and fucking crop top hoodies and shit. Fly shit. So
what I said before we came on, if you're gonna bring some swag, make sure you bring some frame.
Bring some medium for the white. Yeah, I got you.
They should like you. By the way, Anna smoked 10 times more weed than me. And but no, this is what I encourage. Like, I haven't figured out this whole marriage thing. I do the best I can. Normally, like, I get out of the doghouse and I end up back in it. But one thing I know that works for sure, just keep smoking the fucking weed.
And you be all right.
And then I go from like obnoxious to hilarious.
There you go.
Like that,
there
right?
You go.
Then my voice goes from like, to like,
So I think people probably should give my wife credit for getting me smoking, because now we smoke pretty regularly.
Yeah, no, we laying back, just smoking, laughing, coming up with creative ideas.
Yeah.
Did she ever like, you know, call people out or drop ideas, whispering or?
My wife?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My wife will call people out in a fucking heartbeat. Sometimes to where my wife wears her emotions on her face, right? And on her sleeves. So if my wife hears something or sees somebody out of pocket or hears something out of pocket, she don't have no tact. There's no, like, she gonna be like she'll, like, somebody might say something and we be talking around a group of people or something, somebody say something crazy, my wife be like, and I'm like, babe, fix your face. Like, you
bro, you're telling my story right now. I'm like, come on, a little poker face. You're telling my fucking story right now.
Right? We'll go somewhere and somebody will say some shit. She'll pull me right to the side. Like, the person is still over there. She'll pull me right side. Did you hear that bullshit?
Yeah.
I'm like, Beck, can you wait for us to get in the car?
Yeah, we can talk about it later.
We can talk about it in the car, honey. Like, we don't got to do it now.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, bro.
You're telling my story right now. That's same shit. And it's like, yo, not only a bad poker face, like, figuratively, like, we actually played poker. she makes the strain. She starts
smiling and shit before she even turn over her things.
She don't like you. It's like, yo, I don't really like this person either, but I'm just gonna pretend like I like him at least. Like,
Right.
I'm not gonna go out of my way to be extra friendly, but no reason to give him the stank face. But
more things in common.
Yeah,
more things in common.
But I think that keeps us grounded. And then cool part of the story is also that she met you before Ball Family Farms. My wife and I have been together 15 years, and when we met, I was busted out, and we ended up living in a 2-bedroom apartment with roommates when she got pregnant. And so then I had got just a little bit of money together like 4 months into the pregnancy, and was like, yo, could y'all move out?
Can y'all move out?
Yeah, we live in a 2-bed, 1 bath.
She's a rider. That's a ride or die.
Yeah. So now it's like, that's it. Her sister was coming over like, what the fuck are you doing, right? You're showing, you're living it. But it worked out, right? We just kept it's all good. Let's talk about some of the strains coming out. Obviously the Daniel LaRusso is, kind of captured the imagination of everybody, but some new popular stuff coming out. You want to,
yeah, for sure, man. I definitely want to bring some attention to the Fonzie. And that strain right there, man, it means so much to me because of my boy and partner, J. Alphonse Nicholson. He's on the show on Stars called P-Valley. Really, really talented actor, man. I was a fan of his. I was a fan of J. Alphonse Nicholson before I met him because I was a fan of the show. But he has this completely dynamic character, bro, on the show. He plays like a gay rapper on the show. And when I watched the show, man, season 1, I was like, this dude has to be really from the LGBTQ community. He has to, because this shit is just too real for me, right? And once I met him, somehow, some way, he was a fan of Ball Family Farms, had got some of the weed, and he's an avid smoker, bro. Like, he smokes like daily. Like, he's one of those guys, like, I have to smoke to be able to act and to be able to do my normal things. So once one of a mutual friend of ours put us together, he came over to the office, and initially, man, I wanted to meet him just because I wanted to know if he was straight or if he was gay. And I met him, bro, and dude is straight as an arrow, married, got 2 kids, like a real nigga, like for real, you know what I'm saying? And so we sat there, man, for about 3 hours, and we just chopped it up. We talked about the show, we talked about my background, we talked about his background, being broke in New York, street drumming in the motherfucking subways to make money, to put food on the table. And he was like, man, I'm just really a fan of yours, of what you've been able to accomplish. He knew my whole story, where I came from, the prison, the social equity. He knew all of that shit. And here I am, a fan of his just for his work. So when we started out on the pheno hunt, I told him at that point, this was probably about 3 years ago, Elliot. This is when we rocking, we booming. You know what I'm saying? Money's good. Everybody's asking me to collab and wanting to come, celebrities wanting to piggyback off of Ball Family and shit. And I was telling everybody no, because celebrities were asking me for money and say all this. And I'm like, I don't need your fucking celebrity, bro. It's my brand and my weed that's gonna make you popping.
I always say the growers are the celebrities.
We are the celebrities. Yeah. Like, you should be paying me, you know what I'm saying, to attach myself to you, because I'm growing the fire and I got the culture's approval, right? This dude, man, he came and he was like, whatever I gotta do to get a strain with you, however long it take, whatever I gotta pay, I'll do it. I just want to be a part of you. I just admire you. And so that moved me different, you know what I'm saying? So we sat out, man, on the pheno hunt. It took like 1.5 years. We finally nailed it down and got his strain out. It's called the Fonzie. It was pheno number GG 34 or some shit. I gotta look at my notes, but
so you do your own
we do our own feed, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that process,
man. My partner, Ashton, my head cultivator, Ashton Howarth, man, like, he was the one that really put me on to breeding and knowing how he tissue cultures in-house, he breeds in-house. So he's had like seeds, bro, from like the early 90s and shit, just vaulted away. So once we found, a couple good males, we just started popping seeds, bro, and just dusting them, having the males dust them and pop all these different little phenos and genetics and shit. So, doing that, man, he, Fonzie, J. Alphonse found his strain, and because I like to name all my strains after movie or TV characters, we came up with the Fonzie, you know, and to pay homage to Happy Days and my man, what is it, Winkler? Is that his name, Winkler?
Yeah, Winkler.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that's a strain that's out right now, bro. My Nino Brown, which is really the one that's really taken off, just because it's a super duper fucking crazy lemon cherry gelato OG cross, but it's really candy, but it's still got that OG hit on it where, you know, the old heads can kind of relate to it. That one's really taken off just because we in a candy craze right now. But I got my Bishop, you know, which is paying homage to Tupac and Juice. I got some new ones that y'all ain't seen yet, right? I got the Morpheus that's coming. I got the Debo that's coming. I got the O-Dog from Menace to Society. Shout out to Lorenz Tate.
Nice.
You know, J. Alphonse again, sitting in a room with another actor. Lorenz Tate and his brother got some license in Chicago, and you know, they asking him about Ball Family. He like, you need to fuck with Chris, and you know what I mean. So he like put it together. So we got the Old Dog. That's something that's coming down the pike, and then we got something very special coming. You know, called the Chad LaRusso. You know what I mean?
The anti-Chad.
The anti-Chad.
We've been going back and forth. I know you're gonna roll it out.
Come on, you know what I'm saying? I'm on your platform. I gotta say something. So, you know, but that one, we're looking forward to that. We got that growing already, so we know what that is. So, but we're not gonna tell them what it is right now. I'm gonna let you handle that at a later date.
Yeah, it's gonna roll out. I'll just say this: when I seen it, I fucking fell over in my office laughing. So get ready. This drops. We'll roll it out. You know, it's funny. You know, we'll keep it a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I want to.
But at the right time.
They gonna love it. Yeah,
but honestly, super humbling, and you know, it's an honor to even you know, be attached in any way to anything coming out of a Ball Family Farms.
It's our way of saying thank you to you, Elliot, for everything that you do and who you rock with and what you stand for, bro. So it's an honor for us to be able to attach ourselves to you. You've been a huge supporter of Ball Family from day one. You know, we've been in damn near every catalyst. We've done pop-ups. You know, when we first got together, you were like, whatever you need, bro. You know what I'm saying? You had us on shelves. I've come to your store. I've fucking guest bud tend at the store. Like, we've done it all. So I appreciate it. You know, Ball Family Farms, we appreciate you. We appreciate the Catalyst family. So it's an honor for us to do this.
I appreciate that, man. So get a little further into so you're growing this fireweed, and you got to get it sold, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to get through the gatekeepers. Mm-hmm. You got to get it on the shelf. You got to get it to the bud tenders. You got to get them and believing, you know, in what you're selling, and then, you know, from there, obviously the consumer's the judge, jury, and executioner. Tell me a little bit about that process and how selling it works, and you know how you kick those doors open.
You know what, man? For us, I think in the beginning it was really tough because we were a new brand and nobody really knew us, you know. And this is back in the Nameless Genetics days, and you know, all of that. And you know, Jeff over at Nameless and Armin over at Cookies Melrose and Maywood, you know, I trapped with those guys back in the day, you know. So when we first hit the scene and we first had LaRusso, when we first found that strain, and Ashton found that strain, I took it to them and I said, you know, I didn't even really at that time, bro, I didn't know LaRusso's a GMO OG cross. I had never smelled nothing like GMO at this time. This is fucking 5 years ago, right? I wasn't even really sure, but Ashton and the rest of my homies who I was giving it to the sample just kept telling me, bro, this shit is fire. Like, this is it. This is special. So I said, all right. So I went to Jeff and I went to Armin first because those were the guys that I knew who had shops. And I presented it to him, bro. Jeff and them, they had their little office over there in Sun Valley at the time. And we went, me and my little brother, man, we sat, we brought like, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 eighths. They cracked them open, they smelled them, and like, oh, this shit stink. They rolled up right there in our face and started smoking. And they was like, yo, this is it. It was like, how much you got? And I think at the time, we had come down with half of our first run. We had like 10 or 15 pounds, like only, right? And they were like, we'll take them all. You know what I'm saying? You got branding, you got packaging, all that shit. We're like, yeah, we didn't have shit. We didn't have no jars. We didn't have nothing. But I'm like, we got everything. We got everything. Yeah. So they was like, all right, you know, bring them by and then we'll cash you out. So I was like, all right, can you give me like a week? Cause we got to get everything together. They was like, yeah. So we went back, bro, and made up a fucking logo, bought some cheap ass jars, delivered the fucking weed, bro, to the shops with no compliance. Like we didn't know nothing about metric. Like,
well, up until July 18, it was just then you could walk it right in the door,
bro.
Right? Yeah.
This was after that,
right?
This was after because they sent the shit back.
Right.
Like, yo, Chris, bro, you don't got no compliance stickers. You don't even got a California fucking cannabis sign on you. I'm like, oh, what's that? You know what I'm saying? So we started on our journey that way. But honestly, man, for us, the LaRusso kicked those doors open for us. You know what I'm saying? It didn't really. I was blessed enough. We was fortunate enough to have a winner out the gate. And so we didn't really have to massage any buyers or anything. It just kind of, once it got into cookies and once it got with them, everyone kind of started asking about it and it just started catching fire. It was more of, you know, the strains after LaRusso, you know, the Miyagi, the Bonsai. The Bonsai was like our first sativa strain. And so, you know, and we living soil growers, you know what I'm saying? So we don't grow in salts. We don't grow in raw
So I was gonna ask you that. So that,
yeah, bro, that kind of proposed a slight little problem in the beginning because, and even still right now, like even though right now everybody, the cannabis consumer and the real heady smokers fuck with living soil, super heavy, you know, back then it wasn't as popular, you know what I'm saying? Even when Ashton brought that method to me, I was like, well, I learned how to grow out of Rockwool cubes. Like, I'm like, what is this dirt shit and all of it? Feeding it just water and all of this. And he's like, trust me, bro, the weed is going to be better. It's not going to look great. It's not going to look as pretty as some of the other packs that are grown in salts or grown in Rockwool or whatever. But he was like, but trust me, the smoke is going to be off the chain. They're going to keep coming back for the smoke. And he was right.
I think the trend is going that way. And then anybody that's put the quality first and the patient first and the customer first seems to be winning or surviving. Otherwise, you're just always chasing with those market,
you're chasing market trends. Yeah, you chasing. And you know, for us, man, over the past 5 years, he's really taught me, you know, what true medicine is all about. You know, with our genetics and stuff, man, like when you growing, I grew with advanced nutrients and no diss to, you know, I love Big Mike, you know, I fuck with advanced nutrients forever. You know, he's doing this thing, you selling, you know, salt water. That's great, bro. That's your market strategy. Dope. I use that. I've used, you know, HGV. I fuck with Ron, you know what I'm saying, over at HGV. I don't know. I fuck with Ambrosia. I've tried it all, bro. Right. With living soil, man, it's just different, you know, because when you're using those other things, if you got your genetics may be sick or you may not have, you know, a really healthy genetic, you can steer it the way you want to steer it if you just add a little bit of this or add a little bit of that, right? But when you grow in living soil, man, you can't do that. You know, that genetic has to be healthy because all you're feeding it is water. The microbes, the biology is in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? It's the way God intended it, if you ask me, right? So when we put something in that dirt, we're gonna get its true expression. I can't really crop steer it. I can't give it, you know, more CalMag. I can't give it more vitamin B. I can't do any of that shit. I got to feed it water and I got to let the natural living microbials and all that living biology in there do its thing. I got to let them worm shit. I got to let them worm castings take up, you know what I'm saying? So for me, and when people smoke that weed, man, it's different. Like I watch their face, bro. Like I watch my wife's face. I even when I smoke it now, when I may smoke a salt joint, you know, and then I smoke a living soil joint, it's a different high. It's literally a different high. It feels like the living soil weed got sold. You know what I'm saying? Like I can taste the earth on it. You know what I mean? So that part, man, I kind of fell in love with. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with that, but I did, and now I'm hooked. Like now I'm a super advocate of the shit.
It feels like it's going that way a little bit. And then I think that's accelerating. I also think the consumers are, I don't want to say smarter. They're getting more gamed up,
more educated, bro,
on what's what. And then, you know, I think our shelf in a lot of ways is unique, but I'm kind of watching different ones that just were like real quiet, starting to rise.
Yeah, bro.
And they're all kind of based on, there's exceptions to every rule, but you know, I always say, I wish I had one of those charts that were like, that would show like, you know, who kind of did this. And all the ones that are product first seem to just be winning that little slow game. Let me ask you a hard one that's fucked up that, you know, I know is out there and whatever. It's a fucked up situation. And I would say, I would say there's a fucking cold place in hell for motherfuckers that don't pay, ghost, don't try to pay, or like are so fucking delusional that they ain't never gonna pay, right? Like they're just living in whatever world and they're paying themselves and the weed is sold and you don't get your money, right? Any experiences like that, feel free to blast away, whatever you're comfortable with, or how do you deal with that, the AR and all that?
Look, man, I'll say this, I'm gonna be real diplomatic about the shit, right? We all know, who we talking about. And if you're attached to this game, there was a big distributor in the game, that was distributing a lot of people's stuff, and now they're not doing so hot. I'll say this. I like the father and the son. We had, when we first signed on with them, we had a very good conversation. They're a family-owned business. We're a family-owned business. So I understood them and they understood us. I think the market has changed. I think, the culture has changed. I think the economics of our business has changed. And I got to give them their props for one thing, because when we signed on with them, there was really no other distributor that was paying us in 45 days guaranteed,
right?
Whether we sold the product or not. That's really what attracted me to them. And they kept their word, we signed a 1-year deal with them, which was unheard of for them, because we don't even do 1-year deals with brands. But because you guys are such a culture brand and we don't really have any, and you guys are social equity, and, we didn't know where we was going to be in a year. I asked for that, because I just didn't want to get locked in. They granted us that. And for that year, they made good. Every 45 days, we got our money, right? So now they're falling on hard times, and, they into us now for a good, like $250,000, like $250,000 that they owe us, as of yesterday. And so, now it's time. We gotta make a different decision, and I don't pretend to know where the money's going or what's happening. I'm not that close to it with them, what I'm saying? Because I'm too busy in the culture, in my grow, in my brand. But I've heard some things that have not been pleasant, to say the least. But I don't want to kill them, too hard, because they did do me right for a year. Now they're doing me wrong now, and it is what it is, but they're not dodging me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're still having phone calls, but I know what the phone calls are going to be. You owe me $250, you're going to give me $25.
Right.
And so, but when it comes to that, I just got to make a better business decision for my company and my team. But yeah, man, it is what it is.
It's hard. I mean, it's not just them. I've seen it happen a few iterations now, where, they're probably the bigger one. We'll see how that lands in the end. It's gonna
be a bloodbath.
It's gonna be fucking interesting.
It's gonna be fucked up for some people.
Yeah. And then, there's I think 3 ways to approach it as a retailer. The right way, and then we were able to get ours released, right? I was like, motherfucker, I'm gonna get my shit released, right?
Yeah.
And so then we got the numbers, which was actually, I will say, a valiant act, and I will compliment him on doing that. And I might have got a little crazy to get it. But when he
had to get it the Elliot way.
Well, so like, and when Bird Valley went out, same shit. Guys were like, hold it, right? So what set me off, and I won't get too deep in the story, was there was a brand, I was holding the money and then I was putting in 50, 75, not because I wanted to. We fucking pay our bills on time because I wanted to make sure it was popping out and going back to the brands, right? So then it just was the last trip, like a week ago, we're up there. And so one of the brands that we don't sell a ton of, it's a decent brand, right? Whatever. And out of the blue kind of hits me up and like, yo, they gave me your name, you're not paying. And I was like, oh, fuck, what the fuck? I'm holding, I'm trying to get the money out. We're doing it slowly to see it pops out. So then, I call, how much we got on that? Someone's like, couldn't be more than 10 or 20 grand, right? So anyway, long story short, when we get it all separated out, hers is 9,600. So I already paid her, right? And and like the amount that she's owed is a fucking lot, right? Yeah. So that set me off to get it all. But the good part was it all got released, right? And so now, bang, 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 we're gonna get it all paid out. So I think that's the right way to handle it if you're a retailer. But the problem with that is then it gives the dude an excuse to be like, yo, these guys aren't paying me. I think some guys see it as an opportunity, which is like, why the fuck am I gonna pay this? It's about to blow up, whatever, right? And then behind that though is the brands, right? And ultimately, to me, in the line of what happens. And look, I'm not going to get into, what I know, whatever, and who owes what, who, and it's going to be it's going to be a bad game of musical chairs is what's going to happen. But the hope is that the retailers should try to fight for the brands in the best way they know how, so they get their money, because ultimately that's who deserves the money. And if you got a loan in there, the government's in there, whoever else got their hand in there, brands first. So I hope whatever, even if it's not 100 cents on the dollar.
I hope it's something.
Yeah, and they're winding down. Yeah. I would like to see them make that last courageous move.
We have gotten hit up by, a lot of the retailers who they were servicing. And, they did tell us, we would love to continue our relationship, and we'd love to just have you guys, we would love to just work with you directly.
Right.
And we have our own distro, so we could. I just went away from it because, I was having internal issues, personnel issues, and executing that, So now it's something that me and my brother are starting to kind of look at again and say, okay, if we can just even, manage the LA area, maybe we go ahead and fuck with somebody like Cannabis or somebody to,
Well, interesting thing, there might be a spinoff out of that, right? We're close with Coastal Sun. I don't think he'd care if, I put it out there. So, take that brand, which is actually our top selling flower. And they're run small, so it's really hard to scale, and it's not cost effective to be in all these doors. But the distro model itself is difficult. So, he's got this play that's kind of interesting, which is like put 5 or 6 brands together where too many of them aren't in the same category either.
Right.
Because the other thing that happens is, what do you got, 40 brands, and then you got, you're trying to sell 30 different, 10 different indoors, and, 5 different sun grows. It gets hard on the...
It's hard on the buyer and the sales
and the salespeople, right? So like, it's like this, I don't want to say evil, but it's this necessary part of the business that needs to happen. So everybody's using the large distributors from now, and then self-distributing on scale, unless you're, whatever stizzy size or plug and play size, where
unless you can put $100,000 in the truck and then work to move it. Right
there, you go. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it will be interesting to see how it spins off. Obviously, Cannabis is the big one that's still standing. There's a couple little ones that are doing pretty good, they're running lean. So if there is a plea out there and you're a retailer, make sure you figure out however you do it to get the money to the brands. It's kind of a tricky situation sometimes. We're like, oh shit, I might be liable to this company, but I'm really trying to get it to the brands. And look, we were lucky enough to be able to get it in writing. So I was like, okay, I'm fucking feeling good now. Right. So, again, it's a hard thing, but if we're out there, selling it as a retailer, you got to fucking pay it. And if you're on hard times, you probably put yourself on hard times. And even then, like, let's say you owe $250,000. You shouldn't have ever got yourself in that position, but you got to man up and be like, yo, I got 80. Yeah, I got 50. Make a real payment plan.
Yeah, not this little 25 stuff. Like, pay me something real, because otherwise I'm gonna have to eat that. You know what I'm saying? So where I'm gonna get that from? Now I got to go into my savings.
Well, that's what ended up happening. So, I was running the pick and roll with Darren, and we were like, I was like, look, this shit is going to be bad. So like put in 50, and we were like, come out 50. And I was like, oh shit, it's going. We better raise the number. Right. 75, right? We're getting it. Cause our normal AR with them was like $1 million. So then once we got it, like, oh fuck, it's blowing up. I called Darren. I was like, let me back burner you for a minute. I'll get you. We have a real good relationship. You ain't tripping, right? And then all these smaller ones that were like 100, 150, whatever, 10 grand, we were able to pay them out. That was their fucking payroll money though, right? They were going to not make payroll without that money. So we feel lucky that we were, able to get to them. Then again, as a retailer, you're in this weird spot because you don't want to put money into a black hole, right, that it ain't going to come out of.
Then it's like, but if you don't put in,
then you're not going to
get shit. Yeah, they're just going to cut your account off completely.
Right.
So we're in that. We dancing right now. We're dancing right now. Because they're still asking for product.
The distributor's still asking for product.
They still ask for product.
Wow, that's some crazy shit.
So I'm like,
that's some zombie ass shit right there.
Hey, listen, man, but we like, damn, if we say just completely no, then it's like, all right, well, that account's dead. Now we giving a pound here, a pound there. Then, we get, can we have a conversation? Can we write you 25? Can we write you, 35, whatever, so.
Same thing with me. And look, I'll say father, son, always been very nice to me. And, I got a little fresh. This is just like Thursday, Friday, but I will say that was a class act at the end. I know maybe it didn't take care of everybody, but from where I was sitting, whatever was happening, at least the brands and everybody who needed it, like everybody who was owed it, like, maybe they wouldn't have died, but they were damn near, one foot in the grave if they
Right.
didn't get it. So,
That's
good on them for them to,
good on 'em
to
for that.
release it.
Good on 'em for that.
And I would urge the other retailers to, try to get in there and bang some heads. But it is complicated. Again, I'm sure there's other people that want to get their hand in that.
Want to get their hand in our pot.
AR pot.
Want to get their hand in it because they can't file. I was talking to somebody and it's like, you can't even file bankruptcy because we ain't federally legal. So
I also think like I've been, looking at some stuff we were talking a little bit before I got on, and a lot of the retailers going out because the game's changed a lot and everybody's getting hit with the excise, and the lenders, some of these assets would have been foreclosed out a long time ago and or taken over, but what the fuck are they going to do with them? They still got to find an operator, right?
Right.
And then
operators are going out left and right.
Left and right. So like, even if you have like a semi-okay store that's like whatever doing $500-600 or something, as soon as that guy walks out the door, your asset would, I don't even know, the shit is trading really low right now. Say it's $3 million. As soon as that guy walks out the door, a store that makes no numbers is worth $500,000. So like, they're going to have to recruit somebody anyway. So there's this weird thing happening where like the landlords and the lenders who had all the power don't necessarily have it as much. I just looked at a deal yesterday, and the guy don't want to pay. So the landlord called me and I was like, I'll take that fucking shit. Like, yeah, sure, all day. Right. So, and this guy is probably over negotiated a little bit. His rent was high. He's trying to get it way down there. Who knows? They're probably using me as a stalking horse. But it is funny at this point where like before guys weren't willing to walk away from leases or be like, fuck you, I'm walking away from this thing. So I think a lot of the debt's getting renegotiated. The leases are getting renegotiated. This is not a good thing, but it is funny to watch greedy landlords. Even with today when we're applying, like, we ain't paying that fucking crazy rent.
Yeah,
like,
bro. Them days is over. We are not rock stars no more from that aspect. You know what I mean?
No fucking way.
Let me ask you something. How do you feel about DDC, direct to consumer?
You know what? I support it. Like,
you supporting it?
Yeah. So like for me, like home grow, to me, it all just makes it like, all that encourages people to like participate in the legal market. Like we sell clones, direct to consumer. I'm all about it. Like if the brands can do it, like let them do it. It gets people more interested in weed. Like I always think there's a place for retail. And look, if somebody has a super loyalty to one brand, it makes sense for them to do direct to consumer. My take on it, like think of it like a food court, right?
Right.
So like, you would think like, holy fucking shit, the food court at the mall, there's 20 fucking places here. Like, how's everybody going to eat? No. Just get them smoking weed and then they'll want to pop in the shop. So like, let's say Ball Family Farms is crushing it in direct to consumer. That's good for me because, somebody's walking down 2nd Street and they're like, oh man, I'm already down here. I've been smoking a lot of weed. And then the average person that walks in is getting 2.5, 3 items, right? So, it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
It's interesting, bro. I'm watching it. A couple of my boys, are doing it. My boy Scott over at Wizard Trees, he was doing it. Doja's doing it. So it's they're not making a whole bunch of money yet. We have conversations, bi-weekly, and we got to get it rolling. But it's working. We getting orders.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'll say this: it's a hard game because the cost of delivering is so much. And the consumer wants, and look, if you look at some of the people that aren't paying, I won't put out names, these motherfucking delivery companies aren't making money. They might sell a lot of weed.
Yeah, they're not.
That's why I don't even try to deliver, right? I just fucking like open my door. Here I am. You want to come in, come in. And then I think what it gets frustrating as the brand, if you're a vendor, is if the retailers are marking it up too much, right?
Bro, let's talk about that shit.
Yeah, so these super protected markets aren't good, right? It's not helping anybody. And then, so the other thing that I've heard, and like, this is something we're proud of, but it's actually just good business. So if you lower your price, whatever, $2, I'm going to do my same market. And the consumer's going to get it for less.
The consumer's getting that.
So motherfuckers like, why would you ever lower your price ever if the price stays the same on the shelf? And then we try to get it as low as we can. We do the numbers. We can't go fucking out of business, whatever. But our whole game is to just get it down as low as we can. But if I'm a vendor and I see guys, doing 2.5, 3x pricing or whatever, like that would piss me off. And I think that's how the direct to consumer is.
That's what's pissing everybody off. Right. Because I'll see my product. I told, when I turned 45, I told my retailers, I said, look, if I catch my weed over $45, because I said, I want to celebrate my 45th birthday. I want my weed out the door at $45 in honor of my 45th birthday for this year. I said, if I catch my weed over $45, I will not send it back to you. Right. And some of them straight up just told me like, we're not doing it.
That's funny. I've had the reverse problem a couple times where people were offended that I marked it down too low because it was a premium.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I was like, bro, that don't make no sense.
I was that asshole 3 years ago. I was that guy 3 years ago.
I come to a few that was like, look, I won't advertise it, but I'm gonna keep it in the store. Like, but you know.
Yeah, but I had to learn, I say that I was that guy because, I wasn't really attached to the economics of it. And we were making so much money at the time. And I was so afraid that if my weed was $35, that it wasn't going to be considered a premium brand. Now here we are, 3 years later, it don't fucking matter what the price is. The quality of the weed is the quality, right? So now that I've established myself as a high-end brand, now when it's at $35, motherfuckers are like, yeah, let's get that. Like you giving that for 35? Yeah, I'm dropping the price because the economy is bad, and I know everybody ain't got a lot of money, and I still want you to smoke good. Now it's a beautiful thing, and I don't mind. I'll take less margin. Right, I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying?
If it's moving, and it's moving, and then you get them coming back, and then you're not chasing them either, right? So like the ones that really want to shoot high, I feel like they always got to chase them. Then if you don't have that quality product, you're always, and you don't move a lot, right? I remember that, bro. Like I thought everything was going to be like COVID, and COVID when we $5 and I couldn't keep the shit. You know what I mean? But as everything started to settle, I started to figure out, and I started to look at other brands. Man, I went and met up with Josh over at Lumpy's. And I'm like, bro, how much you selling your Ace for? And they grow good weed up there, And he's like, bro, I'm selling them for like $16. I'm like, what? I'm at 20. He's like, man. He's like, you know how much weed I sell? He said, I sell a lot. He's like, I'm doing almost 500 grand a month. And I'm like, damn, I'm sitting around at like 250. I'm like, damn. And his weed is just as good as mine, if you ask me. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, looked at my brother. I'm like, man, we may need to lower these fucking prices. He's like, bro, they're not going to drop the prices in the shop. You know what I'm saying? And he was right. Y'all one of the only ones that actually, when we lower the price, y'all extend that discount to the consumer. A lot of other motherfuckers, they don't do it. Yeah. Then it's like, why do you even want to lower
Why you want to lower it? Because we just going to take less, and I'm still not going to move the volume I want to move because you won't lower the price.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, but I guess with this new tax thing that's happening, people, me and my brother was telling me about it the other day. Is that coming back to haunt retailers now? Because now
it is. Like, look, I had to raise everything $1, which I hate doing. And then we did make a few calls and the brands are friendly just a little bit. I was like, yo, bro, we selling volume. I need a little help. I try not to flip the shelf too hard, but we're trying to keep our head above water. And then that fucking quarterly payment, that's what's knocking people out. So like where the retail space was kind of like a good place to be, now it's just a fucking bloodbath on that. So yeah.
My brother was telling me, he was like, yeah, for the ones that been fucking with us and shit, he like, man, I feel bad for them. But for the ones that was just hiking our shit up 200-300%, he's like, I'm so happy. Because they got to pay that tab.
No, they're losing. Yeah.
They're losing their ass.
And in the end, same thing. Like they got to, well, I don't want to give up the whole game, but they lose. I'm not gonna say they're marking all their money away. Hey man, an hour's already gone by, man. So let's I could have wrapped that one for 2 hours. Nice and easy, man.
I love to come back. Yeah. We'll come back and get part 2.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I like it. But look, anybody is out there, get your hands on that Ball Family Farms. That shit's some real fire. Chris is a fucking real one, man. His whole crew, real ones, man. If you're gonna support anybody in this game, got to support him and his crew. And it's just been an honor to have him on. And, we're going to tease it a little bit. There's something funny coming out. It will be fire ass weed too. But, when it comes, we'll do a little something. I'll come show up at the grow and, we got
to get some content.
Maybe do a little ninja kick or something.
Yeah, we got to get some content for sure.
So that wraps this one up. Weed for the people, as we say, out.
With Elliot, we stand.
Right on, man.